everyone. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, and this is the Going Solo with Cece show, and I'm your host, Cece Schatz. I'm the doyen of relationship building. And those of you don't know what doyen means, it basically means that I'm the leader of this fabulous Going Solo network. And what I do is help connect you to awesome people to move you through to living your best life. And you know, that's a life that you choose. And so we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. What our topic is we're going to talk about how to recover from divorce when you're in your 50s or 60s. And you know, that's pretty hard because I myself was in my 50s when I got divorced, and it was a pretty traumatic experience for me. But what I can tell you is that when you get through the muck of it and you get to the other side and you start to kind of understand yourself again and what makes you tick, what makes you happy, you really start feeling like the doors have opened. So we're going to get you through there tonight. So I want to also mention that our website is goingsolomedia.com. We have some wonderful guests and hosts that are on that platform, and I hope that you'll take advantage of listening to them, at your leisure, because we have some of our shows are live on Thursdays, and then we have other shows that are there for you to listen in the rebroadcast. But let's get on with our topic tonight because we've got a lot of ground to cover. Those of you that are listening on a watch party that I started, I'm not quite sure how this works, so if you make a comment, please do. If I can see it, I will most certainly comment. If I can't, I'm going to go over here to my page and see if anybody is commenting, because I'm not quite sure how to go about doing it. Yeah, it looks like Wayne has joined. Carrie, Bruce, nice to see you. Greg, Felix, John, it's nice to see all of you guys. Let's see, Esther is here. It's great to have you guys all join us here, and I do appreciate it. So let's get on with our topic tonight because I think it's pretty tough. So we're going to talk a little bit about why do we divorce so later in life? You know, why is it that happens to us? And a lot of times it's simply because the two parties have grown apart from each other. They start beginning to have separate lives from each other. They have a different circle of friends. They have different things that they're doing. When they come together at the end to retire, they find that there were strangers and it's not really who they thought they would be with, right? And so then they start to think, wow, this is a person that I don't really even know. And so often that happens, or they're waiting for their kids to leave home, right? Ready for them to go off to college. So, you know, they're looking at strangers. They're not seeing a connection anymore that used to be. The connection was the children, and they're now gone. And so, you know, unfortunately, it's getting more and more that in the latter part of our lives where we think that we're going to be able to retire, enjoy life a bit, we're divorcing, right? And a lot of things are happening within that. And if we've got some time, I'm going to share with you some things that maybe to do or not to do, but just to be aware of. And then hopefully we'll get Hirsch Sherman to answer some of those questions on the financial side of it for us, because we got a brand new show with him, and he can talk a little bit about the financial part of the divorce and maybe save you some money. So the very first thing that we want to talk about, get yourself in the right frame of mind. Now, that's pretty hard to do when you're going through the realms of beginning divorce. Your feelings are hurt. You're in shock. You don't know what's happening to you around you. You don't know what your future is. So you're in this fear. A lot of your community that you had, that you felt comfortable with, are no longer there, right? Your family members are now a little bit dispersed. Some of your friends don't know how to behave with you. They don't know how to connect with you anymore. So you're really you feel like you're kind of out on a limb. You're kind of singular within your environment, right? So what we have to do is we have to make a shift, and we have to create a right mindset, a right frame of mind for you. And so we really want to do that in a lot of different ways. And so one is you want to tackle who can you trust? Who is in your environment, in your circle of friends or whatnot? Who can you really go to? Who's your go-to person? So is that person still there and available to you? And so if they are, it's a great time to reach out, be able to express how you're feeling, what you're going through. You want to connect with your friends to be able to give you a little bit of your security. So a lot of times we find women tend to do that versus men, but some men do it because they have like golf buddies or whatever. But men don't get the emotional support, I think, as women get. And so we do need that as we're going through divorce. We do need that emotional support. So another thing that you can do, and I think which would help your frame of mind, is talk to people that have already been divorced, right? Somebody that's already gone down that road before, that has traveled there. And then you can kind of talk with them a little bit about, kind of what you're going through, what you're feeling, and what did they do, right? What was some of the obstacles that they came across? And I think that would be kind of important to you, to be able to talk a little bit with them with regards to, what did they do in order to get through some of these difficulties that they've had. So then the next thing is to don't waste time with regrets. So often, as we're going through divorce, and this is a hard pill to swallow, because we sit around and we think about what our life would have been, woulda, shoulda, coulda, right? And we think about all the things that it could have been. But the reality is, it is where it is today. It is where it is now, and how you have to try to deal with the situation. So, so often we feel, grief and guilt and even shame over what we're experiencing. We have a feeling that because we're older, we should know better, right? Because we're older, we should be able to figure out the relationship stuff by now. Well, relationship stuff, it comes and goes in tides, doesn't it? And because it's people, it's emotions, it's surroundings, it's things that are happening. We're today going through probably one of the worst times in our lives. The COVID-19. We're going through that. We're having to be stuck at home. We're worried about our finances. We're worried about our job. We're worried about income coming in. We're worried about our family members. We're worried about ourselves. So there's a lot of things that are going on that's bringing emotional baggage to us, so to speak. It's bringing like a tidal wave of emotion, so to speak. And so these are the things that we want to start kind of dissecting and breaking down and asking ourselves, are we being realistic over the feelings that we have? Are we just living in a fear factor? Are we having negative emotions in which we can deal with? And so we want to be able to kind of curve that a little bit. We can't necessarily go back in our lives and change things that happen. Maybe we can to a certain degree, but the majority of the times we can't. And so often we have to sometimes put those blinders on and move the regrets and move some of those feelings aside for a while so that we can move forward, right? And so it's a very hard time. Those that have lost a partner, it's very, very difficult, because you think to yourselves, is there something I could do differently? Could I have spent more time? Have I lost the time that I had with that person? And so the reality is, again, you can't change life for the way it is. You can only sometimes accept it for what you can do with it, right? And you can only deal with the issues that are at hand. And so if you've lost a partner, whether it be by divorce or and I talk a lot about divorce because it's more than what I know, but if you've lost someone due to a death, it's generally not anything that you could have done about that. And so you can't really live with regrets regarding that particular situation. All you can do is cherish the moments that you had, versus thinking about the negative of what you didn't have. And I think sometimes, even as we go through divorce, that's what we have to do, is embrace the maybe the positive, the benefits that we have, and the positive within ourselves, right? I think that is very, very important. Take care of your finances and other practical issues. Now, as you're going through divorce, there's so many unknowns that you're facing. You don't really know exactly where you're going to come out with regards to the divorce, and we can cover some of these things that you might want to take. You might want to take some time to think about it a little bit, but let me see here. I had a list of things I wanted to share with you. Here we go. These are, and I read this in an article by Catherine Friedman, and she had said it's 10 mistakes to avoid when divorcing over 50. And these are some of the things, and I'm not going to go into a lot of it because I really would love Hirsch to be able to explain the financial part of it, because I think that's it's very important. He can home in on factors that would be very relevant to maybe what you're experiencing. But one is failing to create an inventory of assets. So often we fail to actually complete the assets, the inventory of our assets, and they can be a lot of things that you might not be aware of. And so it could be not just your bank accounts or your cars or your homes or things like that. It could be some stocks, bonds, and things like that that you may own. It can be insurance. It can be all kinds of different things that you may have some investments in that you're not realizing. So you really do want to create an inventory of assets as complete as you possibly can. And again, Hirsch can probably help you with that. Holding on to the house. Sherman had talked about holding on to the house in his last show, which was very good, excellent show, about holding on, whether it's really good for you to hold on to the house or whether it's good for you to maybe split the house, sell the house, do various different things like that. But so often, here's what happens is when we're going through a relationship loss, and especially a divorce, you don't want the other party to get up on you, right? You don't want them to have more than what you have. And you kind of resent it a little bit. And so you get to the point where, wow, I'm going to take this, and you're not going to have that. And you fight and squabble over the smallest things. And what you end up doing is spending a lot of money on attorneys trying to sort out who's going to get, something that you're probably not even going to use. And so the thing is you really, truly want to not think about the other partner, but think about yourself. And what is it that you think that you're going to need in the future, what you're going to do in the future, how you envision your future. And so if you can take yourself out of the zone of hurt and pain and where you're at right now with relationship loss and project yourself into the future of what you might very well like to do, and we'll talk about some of those things, that will help you make those kind of decisions of what you would like to do in your life. Not knowing who we owe, that's a big one, because sometimes one party does, the bookkeeping end of it, and another party does the investment end of it. So not knowing those two factors are very, you got to know. And so you've got to try to sort that out. And so not knowing what you owe is very, very important. Ignoring your tax consequences. So often we want to do a certain thing because we want to get the money, right? We want to hang on to something, so we're going to sell this and sell that to be able to get the money. And then what do? Not only do we pay our attorneys a great deal of money, but we pay, Uncle Sam. And so why do we want to do that? So what you want to do is have a professional that you can go to ask these things. Like, I'm thinking about doing this, and that. What is your suggestion on that? What are, what's the long-term effect is that going to make for me? If I do this, and that, is there another way I could look at it? Another way I could do it? Could I split the funds up? Could I do various different things? So looking at your tax consequences is very, very important. Forgetting about health insurance. When we are in our 50s and 60s, you know what? Your health insurance is vital. It's absolutely vital. And so it's very, very important to look at your health insurance, understanding that, what can you do at your age with your insurance? What is going to happen to you? Do you not have insurance? Can you take COBRA, or can you get under the Obamacare, or can you do various different things? The best thing to do with that is really talk to some healthcare officials, ones that really know their insurance. You want to talk about your life insurance. You want to talk about your health insurance. You want to talk about any kind of cancer policies that you might have, any long-term, short-term disabilities, anything that you might have that you already have, you want to talk about. And then you want to talk about what your needs are going to be today and in the future. So those are very, very important things in which to talk about. Rolling over your ex's retirement account into an IRA, you want to definitely talk to a financial person with regards to that, a professional with regards to that. And again, Hirsch will probably cover some of this in his shows, which I'm just absolutely loving. I can't wait to hear his next show. Supporting your adult children. Here's the thing, is you have to be very, very careful on what you do with regards to helping your family members out. We all want to help our family members out. We all want to be there for them, but we also have to take care of where we're at today. And also, maybe we need help, right? Maybe we're finding that as we're going through this divorce, we're in trouble financially. And then we have to look at our family to help us. So we really want to, look at the realm of your family and whether, can you stop helping them? Or can they help you? There's things that you want to talk about there. Hiding assets from your spouse. I've talked about that 1,000,001 times. Don't do it. Do not do it, because what will happen is then something will happen and they will find out about it. And then everything you do will be looked at. You don't want to have any skeletons in your closet. You don't want to do anything bad. The thing is, your kids see you, and they see what you do, and eventually that will get caught, and then they'll look bad upon you, and your family will look bad upon you. So just do the right thing. Always, when in doubt, do the right thing. Even if it's going to cost you a little bit more money, guys, do the right thing by your exes. And the same thing, ladies, if you're the breadwinner, do the right thing by your guys. Treat each person as a decent human being and do the right thing by them. Understanding your expenses, or underestimating your expenses. Let's talk about that, because so often when we're filling out a financial affidavit, we underestimate what our expenses are going to be. Don't do that. But don't play games with it either, right? So often you'll see some that are so high on their financial affidavit, and then the judge looks at it and says, this is garbage. This isn't going to work. So you want to make sure you fill it out the best you can, but don't overlook things. You are entitled to whatever it was, how you lived prior to your divorce. You're entitled to that. So if you get your hair done, your nails done, or whatever, guys, if you get a shave, go and put it down. Put down what it is that you really do. But you need to really don't underestimate what you need, especially when it comes to insurances, health, and drugs, and things like that. Because when 50s and 60s, we start having problems. Thinking your divorce advisors are your friends, stop that. Because anybody that helps you with your divorce, they should be a professional. They should not be your friend. And you want to make sure that you are in the driver's seat of your divorce. You want to make sure you're in the driver's seat of your life, right? And even though maybe a professional is your friend, or maybe you do feel very friendly with them, at the end of the day, it's you that has to walk in those shoes. So you're the one that has to make the final decisions of what happens to you. And so bottom line, you want to make sure that you are the one that is making the decisions, that you feel comfortable with what decision you're making. And if you don't understand, ask again, ask a different way. Keep asking until you understand what it is, the process that you're going through, and what's going to happen to you. I think you need to build a team when you go through a divorce. This is something that I didn't do, and I wish I had done it. I wish I had known to build a team, build a financial team, build a support emotional team, build an attorney, a legal team. Get your team together that's going to work for you. When you do that, then you find that the burden of whatever's happening to you is kind of off your back a little bit. It's not quite so cumbersome as you're trying to get through some of these difficult decisions. Hey guys, we're going to have to take a quick break. And so what we're going to do, we're just going to do a moment of silence. And the reason we're going to do that is because when we drop this down into audio and when we get savvy and we start playing videos, we're going to start having our supporters and our sponsors here doing the videos and showing it. But when we get savvy enough, we are going to do that. But we do have one, well, I should say one, we do have several sponsors. And one I would like to share with you real quick here is Quest Fine Jewelers. They have supported us at the very beginning, and we want to thank them so much for that. Their phone number is 877-860-0826, and they're there in Fairfax, Virginia. That's 8431 Lee Highway in Fairfax, Virginia. So again, Quest Fine Jewelers, 877-860-0826. Give them a call if you happen to have any jewelry or anything that you're wanting to maybe even get rid of. They might be able to give you some appraisals, some things like that, give you some advice of what you need to do. So what we're going to do now, we're going to take a quick moment of silence. So when we drop this down into the audio portion of it, we can add in our advertisements, and the station can add in their advertisements. So again, you guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am CC Schatz. This is the Going Solo with CC show. And if you'll just hold with me for a couple minutes of silence, actually just 10 seconds of silence, we appreciate it. Okay, I want to thank you so much for that. I know I feel a little awkward when I do that, but it's for the best. And so you guys were listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am CC Schatz, the doyenne of relationship building. I am your host tonight, and I want to thank you so much for spending the time with me here today. You're listening to the Going Solo with CC show. And if you guys want to contact me, let me give you my information here so we make sure I send it out to you. My email is goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. And then we have a couple different websites. We have our media website, which is goingsolomedia.com. We have everything that we're doing, which is on goingsolonetwork.com. And then we started a brand new site called goingsolonextstep.com. That's our transition site, taking you from relationship loss transition into dating, because there is a process that we have to go through. And we are understanding that more and more as we're traveling through relationship loss. And that's what we're talking about tonight. We're talking about how to recover from divorce when you're in your 50s and 60s, which is very difficult. It's a very difficult time in which to get divorced. But let me tell you, any time is difficult when you get divorced. When you have a relationship loss, any time is difficult. So, but we do have certain factors that come into play when we're in our 50s and 60s. It's harder for us to kind of recover because we're in the last quarter of our lives. We feel like the security blanket has been ripped out from underneath us, even if it's not divorce, even if it's some sort of relationship loss, a death or whatever. We feel like, oh my gosh, we're going to be facing this world alone, and it becomes very, very cumbersome. So we're talking about that tonight. We're talking about some of the ways that you can recover. And so we talked a little bit about your finances, the practical issues with regards to it. Build your team. Now let's talk a little bit about your kids. It's truly hard. What I found, and it's hard for little ones. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's very hard for little ones. But I found that it's very difficult for adult children too, to deal with the fact that their parents are now divorced, because even though maybe they didn't think your marriage was absolutely perfect, it was what they got used to, right? It's something they felt comfortable with and they felt secure with. And I know that even though we try, especially through divorce, we try to do our very best with it, but often we feel like we failed at something. our children sometimes look at the same thing. They look at it and they think, oh my gosh, my parents are getting divorced. So am I going to be a failure in relationships too? And so all of those things are things that we need to talk about with our families. We need to talk about with our kids, because nothing is the same, right? Whatever happens to you is not going to reflect on them, because the circumstances are going to be different. The people are going to be different. The personalities are going to be different. How we choose to live our lives are going to be different. So no one relationship is the same. And so there's no reason to think that this will carry on and be a family tradition that you'll get divorced when they're in their 50s or 60s. But what it should do is and even when with the relationship loss, what it should do is make us really wake up and say, you know what, relationships are important. And there's something we need to invest time in and care in and responsibility in. And so this is what we want to be able to share with our family. This is what we want to talk to our kids about. We want to give them a sense that whatever decision we make doesn't reflect upon our feelings for them, that we love them, that it doesn't change anything. And it's not going to reflect upon their relationships in the future. Then we start embracing like these multi-families, right? These exes, and they get in other relationships and all those kind of things. And that becomes very worrisome for our children. Like, oh gosh, am I going to now have a stepmom, or am I going to have a stepdad? Am I going to have, all these kind of stuff? And I'll tell you, my kids, when I got divorced, they were quite fascinated with the fact of my dating. The boys kind of wanted to know a little bit more about the dating thing. Mom, what you doing? And, all this kind of stuff. And they worried about me. They worried about me going out and meeting other people and doing other things, because it's something they weren't used to. And they didn't know if I was okay with what's happening with the world. And so, there's a lot of elements that go into play. And it's very, very important that we, as parents, really make our children feel that, this is our decision, it's our life, and we want you to support us as we would support you. And so that's what's very, very important. And so those are things that we want to discuss with them. We want to talk with them. We want to make sure that they know. And above all, what they want to know, kids all ages want to know, is the family unit going to be the same? And just because you're divorcing doesn't mean that you're divorcing your children or your family unit is going to change. You can still have love and respect as a family. You may not care for your spouse. You may be very upset. Maybe they, cheated on you, or maybe they did whatever, stepped out of the marriage. But that's a personal, that's something personal that's between you and your ex-partner. The reality is you still want to continue on with family traditions, but you might want to start twisting and making a twist to some of those family traditions. But you want to do them slowly so that the kids can adjust to some of these things. And never, ever make your kids feel like they need to pick a side or something like that. I mean, it's not necessary. And God forbid, should they not pick you. So do not put them in that position. It's not what you want to do. Here's the thing. As we're going through a relationship loss, we are so bogged down about everything that's happening around us. Our lives are swirling all around. It's just crazy land, right? We need to take care of ourselves. We need to really start putting ourselves first a little bit. We need to start figuring out, what is it that makes us tick? What brings us joy? How do we go back and we do some of those things? How to enlighten our lives? How do we get in touch with our emotional self, other than, our emotions? So because we're crying and whatever, we're out of balance. How do we get in touch with ourselves, and how do we balance what we're feeling? So start doing other things. Take advantage of yourself. Don't go out, and I will tell you, do not go out and start dating. Okay, when you first start getting divorced, do not do that. So often another partner stepped out on the relationship, so then that partner goes, well, if they can do it, I can do it too. Don't. You don't even know who you are, right? When you're going through a relationship loss, your whole world has spun out of control and you don't even know who you are anymore. get in touch with who you are. Get in touch with what you like, what you enjoy doing. Get in touch with people that maybe you haven't talked to in a long time, or start new relationships, make new friends. Start doing activities that you maybe thought that you would like to do someday, but never had time to do. You know, so often in my divorce support group, people have taken up pottery, and they've taken up art, and they've taken up acting and comedy, and they've done a lot of different things that they never thought that they would do or have time to do. And so they started doing it. You know, go and get your hair done, your nails done, enjoy yourself, go to the beach. If you enjoy going, we live in Florida, so if you enjoy going to the beach, that's like the most peaceful place to go. You can watch people, you can sit back and spend the day and relax a little bit. The sun and the water and all of that is very, very peaceful. Then one thing I wanted to talk to you about is asking for help, because I think that's very, very vital, and something that I didn't do either. I was afraid to do that because I thought if I ask for help, it's a sign of weakness, right? If I ask for, I'm going to go back here and check on this to make sure we're doing okay. But so we did have some people. I'm not sure if this watch party thing is working or not, if I did it correctly. So if I didn't, I do apologize if you guys have come on. And but I think I'm going to cancel this. Let me just go back and cancel. I'm going to leave it because I don't think I set it up right. So I do apologize for that. But you know, I was afraid to ask for help because I thought, you know, if I ask for help, then what I'm doing is I'm showing a sign of weakness, right? I'm showing a sign of I have to be tough because I'm going through this. I have to be tough. I have to show I'm tough. I have to be resilient. Wrong. It doesn't work like that. The reality is that sometimes you need a sounding board. Sometimes you need someone outside of the emotions, outside of everything, someone that has no party to it. You know, I had, you know, some family members that would tell me to do this, this, and that. And then when I did it, things would happen, explode. And it's like, well, hey, you know, you shouldn't have done that. So, I mean, it's like, go to professionals and get help. You need an emotional coach. You need someone that's going to help get you through it. Join a divorce support group. Join any divorce support group out there. See if that helps you. There's some churches that have divorce support within it. They're religious based, so if you're not comfortable with that, join our Going Solo Next Step. We'd love to have you. But you need that emotional sounding board. You need to be with someone that gets it, what you're going through, understands what you're going through, and can really sympathize and be there for you, but also be tough, you know, and say, hey, that's, you know, like we had one time, one person in the divorce support group that wanted to stalk the other partner, right? There was like, I'm going to get down to the bottom of this. I'm going to find out, you know, who he's seeing and all this kind of stuff. And the thing is that she felt that he had cheated on her, right? And the reality was he did. But did it make a difference? And, you know, and that's what we tried to explain to her. Is it really going to make a difference to you if you know for sure? Because you already know something's happened within your marriage. There's a reason that he's stepped out of the marriage. Is it really going to make a difference to find out who that is? And the reality was, no, it didn't make a difference. And so she didn't do it, thank God. She didn't start stalking him and going in his Facebook and doing all those weird things that sometimes we get crazy, right? As we're going through divorce. But the thing is that you need somebody that's going to hear what you say without judgment, and someone that's going to call you on it if you're acting too loony, right? And so that's very, very important. And so, you know, those are some of the things. Let's see, there's a few other things I wanted to cover. We talked about do not hesitate. The other one is declutter. I think this is really vital as you're going through divorce, especially if you're in your latter part. Your whole home is made up of memories, right? And so it's everywhere you look, there's some sort of memory that you got this picture there, or you did this together, or you went and bought this sofa, you did whatever. Go and start decluttering your house. And what I mean by that is things that are painful for you. You either want to take your containers and you either want to keep it, right? You want to give it, or you want to throw it away. And you want to do one or the other. And don't throw away things that could mean something to somebody, to your ex, right? Your potential ex. Don't be mean. Whatever you do, do it with a heart, because at the end of the day, you can look yourself in the mirror and know you always did the right thing. And again, it's back to doing the right thing again. But start putting away some of those things that maybe hurt you when you see them. I put away all of the pictures, stored them where I couldn't see them anymore. Those kind of things. I changed my bedding, of course. A lot of people just buy a whole brand new bedroom set if they can, because that's something that's important. Paint their bedroom a different color, maybe one that their spouse painted, those kind of things. But start claiming your space, right? Start claiming the space that you have. If you're moving into another environment and you're only going to be there temporarily, start doing things to it that would be yours, right? That it would be something that you would feel that you could call home. It's very, very important to start claiming your space. When you start claiming your space, you've actually taken a step towards your new life. And it's very, very vital that you do that. The other thing is keep busy. Keep busy doing things. And a lot of times I suggest actually doing things for other people, going to the food banks or helping people do something different. You might be able to do some different things online, but sometimes when you take yourself out of your own environment and you start helping someone else, number one, you feel good about what you do. The other thing is you start realizing that, hey, my life is not so bad. A lot of people, I've had several that go to the hospitals and donate their time to the hospital, reading to the patients, doing things with the kids, hospice care, things like that. So when you start doing things like that and you step out of yourself, you realize that life around you does exist and maybe it's not so bad, right? And so you want to keep yourself very busy so you're not living in the drama of what's happening in your world at the moment, because we create sometimes the drama that's happening. And so we want to try to lessen that so we can live in the real world. And the real world is we're moving on, right? We're going to be living a different type of life, but we're going to be living that life and we're going to be moving forward in that life. Again, we talked about finding yourself again. Time to travel when we're separated or when after the divorce or whatever, it's a good time to actually do some traveling, try to get your feet wet a little bit on getting out there and doing some things. With COVID, I'm not quite sure exactly what you can do, but maybe some road trips, to go someplace local or whatever you might enjoy doing. I know guys really love doing that, the road trips, getting out, doing some of the going to some of the parks and things like that. So that's a really good thing to do. It's very peaceful. And when you're in the car, it gives you some time to think, right? It's quiet. You can think, you can do an audio book. It's a great time to listen to some things like that. But you're creating, when you're traveling or when you're moving forward, any of these things that you're moving forward, you're doing something different. You're moving in that direction, right? You're not standing still and you're not looking back, but you're constantly moving in the momentum. You're moving into that way that you want to do. You want to give it some time. Nothing, like they say, Rome wasn't built in a day. And so neither is your life going to be built in a day. It's going to take you some time to figure out where you want to be, who you want to be, where you want to go. And so give yourself some time to make that happen. Don't be in a rush. You want to enjoy and savor the next quarter of your life. You want to start developing a life where you can actually embrace and live to the fullest. And so that's going to take some time. Find your focus. We talked about that a little bit, but I think focus to me is like your center. What I realized that when I went through divorce is that I had a core. right? My center, my core. I had certain beliefs that don't waver. Certain things do not waver for me. I had, certain things about me that made me who I am and made me very proud of who I am. And so figure out what that focus is and to be able to understand it. Go and take some classes. There's so many online things that you can do. Take some classes and try to start figuring out what it is you like to do and get that brain working, right? Absolutely. Get your brain working. Try to forgive. I mean, that one I would have spit in your eye when I heard that the first time out. Try to forgive. Like, forgive, you gotta be kidding me. But the reality is, it's not necessarily forgiving him or her. It's forgiving to me, it's more of forgiving the situation that you're in. It's forgiving that, my life was disrupted, as I knew it. But now I look at it as I savor the fact that I can actually build something that I love, do something that I love, and make friends that I love, go to places I enjoy doing. And so, you want to probably forgive the moments of what you thought life was going to be, and just embrace what it is and where you're going and who you're going to become. This time went very, very quickly. I think we covered most of what I wanted to, and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helps you. And of course, you're welcome to email me anytime you want. I'm here for you at goingsolonetwork@gmail.com. Again, our websites, if you want to check it out. Our media site is goingsolomedia.com. And then if you want to know everything that's happening, and I try to keep it up to date, but sometimes I get a little bit behind, but goingsolonetwork.com and then goingsolonextstep.com. We've got some other ones out there. We do have a travel site, which we're not able to do anything with traveling right now. It's Going Solo Travelers. And then we did start a new site, which is Going Solo Together, but you'll find that right there on Going Solo Network. The information's right there on that. Well, I hope that you will be able to really embrace the life that you choose. And we often say live your best life, but it's live the life you want, right? Live the life that you truly want to live. And sometimes that takes some time to embrace. So I hope that this helped you and that you can do that. Again, we were talking about how to recover from divorce when you're in your 50s and 60s. Our wonderful sponsors are right here, Quest Jewelers. Want to thank them so much for all that they have done. We do appreciate it. Their number is 877-860-0826. If you're in the Fairfax, Virginia area, they're right there off of 8331 Lee Highway. And we hope that you will reach out to them. So, got to run, and this has been a wonderful time. You guys are listening to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. I am CC Schatz. I'm the doyenne of relationship building, and I hope that I made your day. And I hope that together we can embrace, moving forward in your life. And I'll see you back here next week, same time, same place. Bye for now.